Hi, this is Stan. Welcome back. Got a special guest with me, Casey Kennedy. Now we're here at the Arizona Garage Races Black Friday annual event. A lot of fun, so you can hear a lot of talking in the background, and that's cool. We just finished a race with an IROC format, which we've talked about recently on this channel. But these cars were put together by Casey Kennedy, and he's a Phoenix radio personality from years ago. I'm not so sure what vintage, but anyway, he was racing slot cars before I was born, and so we want to thank Casey for prepping these cars, and the reason we're talking about them is because they're so unusual. Casey, thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure.
Well, this is great. I got to tell you a quick story, though. When I thought about getting into slot cars, I ran into you at a slot car track in Mesa, and you were so kind and took all this time to explain everything to me, and I might not have enjoyed the hobby if I had a real bitter experience there.
Well, I'm glad you did.
No, it was awesome.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I owe you a lot for that. Okay, we just finished a race with these cars, and Casey prepared 4 cars for our IROC format. We're going to take a minute and let you see a little bit of the action.
Slow down? Oh, no. Woo! That's a ripper.
Sure, my whole
And not so much. I know, but I'm whatever you can. Ooh, good one.
Okay, Casey, these are old school. This looks like a motor out of a Lionel train from the 50s. I mean, what's going on here?
All right, these are motors that were called padlock motors, and most of the time they were used for drag racing and ran on upwards of 18 volts, 36 volts. So they either made the race, made it to the end of the drag strip, or just blew up. And so Dynamic makes this chassis. I modified the chassis a little bit to get the gear closer, because the conventional thinking back then was they ran a really big pinion and a really super big spur gear. What I did was go to a 4-to-1 ratio instead of the 2.5 or 2-to-1, so we had a little bit more torque, a little bit more handling, and the cars are very, very fast.
They are fast and crazy, by the way. We had so much fun on this race. Now, how old are these motors, though? They look ancient.
Yeah, this motor is from 1964.
1964.
And what I did to mount the bodies, because most of these chassis were mounted to hard bodies, or they had the little dynamic bracket, which was very thin brass. So I made this to give it a little bit stronger life, and also to keep the body from crushing. We've run these cars before with a Citron body, but the Citron body was so thin that they destroyed themselves at the end of the race. I mean, they were useless, except for one, and one is at Bernard's the Slot Car Museum in Houston, Texas. The whole car.
Oh, the Citron body?
With the Citron body, that one was the one that for some reason on the yellow lane didn't get destroyed. Everything else got destroyed.
So what about these outriggers here? This
All right,
brass
this was just to give it a little bit more balance, so it could corner a little bit better. These cars were notoriously ill handling.
Enjoy it.
Casey, what vintage were you on the air here in Phoenix?
70s, 80s, 90s. Worked at Trucks, KTAR,
This is actually Rick's
IROC, which was a heavy metal station, and a bunch of others I can't remember. You know,
but it's got everything.
yeah.
Casey, what a fun series of cars. We had a blast today. A little bit crashy, so we had a lot of laughs. And it was awesome. Thank you so
My
much.
pleasure, sir.
All right, Casey Kennedy, he's a guru, and you've got a Facebook site, right? Okay, we'll put a link to that so you can see Casey's website and keep up to date. He does a lot with vintage slot cars and blast from the past. So thanks for joining us. We'll go out with a little more footage of our race, and I hope to see you right here next time.
Right there.